Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Thus, please narrate to us the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They are spoken to Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to the pure devotees, being full of bhakti yoga. Purport. What was spoken to Maharaj Parikshit and what is very dear to the pure devotees is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is mainly full of narrations of activities of the Supreme Unlimited, and therefore it is the science of Bhakti Yoga, or the devotional service of the Lord. Thus it is para, or supreme, because although it is enriched with all knowledge and religion, it is specifically enriched with the devotional service of the Lord. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshohun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Savapatantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapata Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanavitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Prayojana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakana Vitamscha Hey Krishna Kodano Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorenge Radhe Vrindavanishvare Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wonderful verse. Some interesting translations of the synonyms. It says, Tat, therefore, unto us, Param, supreme, Param, supreme, Punyam, purifying, Asamrita Artam, as it is. And it's telling us there that we have to, they want to hear about the Supreme, that which there is no other comparison, that actually it's beyond our understanding. They want to know that which is beyond our understanding at the moment. But it says punyam, it's purifying. That's an interesting word. Punyam, if I remember rightly, it can't be contaminated in any way. It's pure, always pure. Punya, when you do punya, it is meant to purify everyone the speaker and those who hear. And so it's something that we can relish because it's good for us. It's medicine. It's purifying our consciousness, our the thoughts, our mind, so-called intelligence, to a level. It brings us up to a level that will bring us closer to the Supreme. The Supreme is beyond our comprehension, but Bhagavatam was spoken in such a way that it will bring us closer. Each time we read, each time we hear, it will cleanse our heart. And we need this. But it's not only cleansing to the heart to those who hear, it's cleansing to the speaker. So actually, this is a blessing to be speaking such words that we have here, that Prabhupada's brought us. Because what he used to do, even though he was in some pandal and his disciples were with him, he would get them to speak, not himself. That was a very interesting aspect. So why was that? Anybody fathom an understanding from that? Why would he get them to speak rather than himself at a pandal in front of all these people, that had come to see him when he was in India? Any ideas? Yeah? Okay.
If they know how much the disciple of Srila Prabhupada knows, then what to speak of the guru of that disciple? So I think it was meant to glorify the process that is working.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. And any other thoughts on this?
In the text today it says that the narrations of the Unlimited are purifying.
Yes.
So by them preaching,
yeah,
also
for their
purify,
benefit.
For their benefit.
But not only that, there was another little benefit. It would show people that these so-called servants of Krishna, servants of Prabhupada, that somehow that they were on a path of, they were the white elephants, they used to say, didn't they? They couldn't, they thought somehow it was an artificial thing that these people should not be introduced to Krishna consciousness. It was only for a certain class of person. But this is the wonderful thing. But as you say, it was purifying for the disciples themselves. And they were following Prabhupada. And so it was beneficial all round. And Prabhupada saw himself that how his students were doing. He gave a spiritual master some encouragement to see their progress. So that was his selfishness, you could say. It was he wanted them to benefit and get this mercy of this kata. So Mother Kalangana used to say, if to me, she said, "Why are you not speaking when asked?" I said, "No, I shouldn't. I'm not really up to this standard." And she said, "But Krishna's asking you. It's not that person, it's Krishna." And so we start to understand that actually, if you're asked to do something, it's a service of whatever. It's Krishna. If it comes from authority, it's Krishna. So we can't underestimate the subtle ways. So many new people, they speak, from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, whatever they're doing. But and especially in these classes, this is the benefit given to the teacher and the pupil, because both have to speak to each other, their understanding. So there's two-way communication of purifying the teacher and the student, the chanter and the hearer, both ways. So student serves the teacher, teacher serves the student. So very wonderful thing, purifying. So punyam. And what is happening, of course, here you have a big group, and it's just establishing an understanding that is beneficial for all and purifying. And then it says, samrita, as it is. Yeah, this is very interesting. Artam usually means, you could say fruitive actions, you could say, karma, artha, it goes together. But this artam is asamrita, as it is. It's the supreme activity, artam, that which is beneficial for us. It's okay to get benefit from this for our own selfish needs, because they're spiritual needs. Asamrita artam, as it is. It's uncontaminated and it's purifying. So, and then it says akyanam, narration, chanting. We all know what that's about in many ways. We chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We chant the Bhagavad Gita verses. We exchange what does it say? Or in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's that the devotees, they enjoy talking and conversing about you because it's joyful, it's blissful. And those who are now on the courses here and are not on the courses or on regular service in whatever they're being given, is that they'll know that actually the more they do their particular service, whether it be as a student, a teacher, or temple services, that it's a connection with the Supreme. So it's bhakti yoga. It's practice and hearing and experiencing. You get not only jnana from the hearing, you get vigyan from practice. So you have the perfect situation for taking you up to the next level of realization. Then it says here, Bhakti Yoga Akyahi. And he says, describe this Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, Bhakti Yoga, Sarvopadi Vinimuktam Taparvenan Nirmanam Hisikesa Rishikesa Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of the senses. And there's two side effects. It purifies us from the material designations. In other words, that whatever we're doing, material designations mean that look at me, how I'm doing. It's only for me. No, it purifies us from material designations of the of a pure nature. That it takes us away from, and look what I'm doing for the Lord, and it's pure in its nature. And I'm just trying to think this. It purifies the senses, the mind. The senses are material, our bodily senses, and the mind is also material, and the intelligence is also material. It says so in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7. They're our previous lives' activities under the modes of material nature. And if we use them in devotional service, like personally, I really relate to the mode of passion, because I tend to act in that way, that do it, get on with it, activity. And but somehow, when that service, like Lord Brahma, he's the incarnation of activity, supreme activity. He's the creator of the universe. He's a delegated servant of Krishna, and that's his job. So his activity as a Purusha avatar is based on his in the mode of passion. He uses his activity in the service of the Lord. So this is what we're doing, whatever things we have. And it says, so Bhakti Yoga means engaging our nature, whatever it is. Guru Maharaj was talking about this also in Varnashram Dharma. It's that is trying to direct a person to their natural propensity, whether they be a laborer, Vaisya, a businessman, a Kshatriya, a soldier, governor, or serving the people in administration. And then the Brahmanas, the priestly class, those who are realized. They know the Vedas. So everybody has a position in this Bhakti Yoga. It's not, nothing is excluded. Man, woman. Now Prabhupada was a revolutionary, and his Prabhupada was a revolutionary, because they changed things. They did what sannyasis would never do. They spoke to the gentry, they spoke to anyone, man, woman, and they included them somehow in the overall picture of Bhakti Yoga. So we're in a fortunate position. Somehow Prabhupada came to the Western world to engage everyone irrespective of their bodily nature. Because, why is that? Why do you think he wanted everyone to engage in that, in service? It's a simple thing, but there's no catch to it. Anybody? Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry.
So they can get the mercy.
Yeah, the mercy also. What else? Is there something else? Sorry, can we... Who's over?
Because everyone's looking for
Krishna. Put your hand up too, sorry.
Because everyone's looking for Krishna.
Everyone's
looking for Krishna. The reality is everyone's looking for Krishna. So
yeah, right. Now, next. That's true.
Because the soul has no gender.
Yeah, that's right. It's the nature of the soul. This is what we're looking at. And the nature of the soul is to serve, to express itself in loving service. That's the nature of the soul. To glorify, to speak good, and to serve each other, to please each other, to please the Lord, to please His servants, to please every living entity in some way by establishing the mission. So we're spreading, it's a rescue mission, so there's compassion too. And the nature of a pure soul, that he's compassionate, like Prabhupada. It's an expression. We are all here as an expression of his compassion, isn't it? A manifestation of his compassion. And where does that compassion come from? Somebody like to know? Tell us. Where does that compassion come from? No, if you want to speak, put your hand up. Okay. Okay.
Krishna.
Krishna, yeah. That's why he's come. He's no other business. He's happy. He's okay. He's got the spiritual world. But he's got those too that chose a different path to look after. You see, he's the supreme servant. That's his nature. He's serving every living entity. And so he's unlimited in his jobs. He doesn't say, I won't do that. I'm not going to do that. I prefer to do this. He's not discriminating. He's looking after the demons and the devas. You know, the divine and the demonic nature. Shri Shri Adago Nanda Kijai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Kijai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Kijai. So in this way, Krishna is the servant of his servants. He's really, if we could understand that, and that makes him happy. He can now express his happiness by helping us, but serve him, because it's a loving exchange. This word expression, it takes two to tango, isn't it? It's true, isn't it? So it's Krishna and the gopis. This is his joy and expression of love. He's showing us that these gopis, they'll dance with him wherever he wants, whenever he wants. But at the same time, somehow in the spiritual world, everything's understood that Krishna is the center of everything. That even there are pastimes where the devotees in the spiritual world, they have their little wives and they're off with Krishna somewhere. You know, what's going on? You know, we can't understand because our morality is different from Krishna. This material world. We have to have a morality because it's based on the nature of this world. It's a discipline of this world that somehow that we can live together in, not in chaos, but in under our class of ability. So as we say, there are different workers, the Kshatriyas, the Vaisyas, you know, businessmen. They're all there. They're all here in the material world to fulfill our desire, actually. Because whatever job we've got or we feel akin to, that's based on our previous lives' desires. They're unfulfilled desires. So we've got a certain type of body. And so it's not discriminatory. We chose. You know, Krishna, he doesn't discriminate. He's just giving you what you want. And if you want Krishna, you'll get him. And that's the key. It'll open the door. If you really want him. And they say there must be greed. So this is another consideration. But it's the bona fide greed. Greed for prasadam in whatever form it takes. Actually. Because sometimes it hurts. That prasadam hurts. That, you know, when you get mercy, it's all mercy, you see. Our difficulties, it's another form of mercy, but it enlightens us. That person that suffered can help somebody else after, when they come through that suffering, because they can empathize with that person. They can give them their understanding, that they can pass on benefit of their life, their full knowledge, like the Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous help each other. There's an alcoholic who's always an alcoholic if he takes another drink or she takes another drink. But then what they do, their first principle is they came to understand that they were helpless with their addiction and that they had to surrender themselves to a higher power who would take over their desires. That's the first principle, a principle of humility, that we came to understand that we've been addicted to our desires and that we have to surrender to higher power. That's the first principle, humility. And all of us have to be, and we're all in that boat, we have to surrender and become humble and not think that we're right. It seems like we're right because that's our modes of nature, but there's a higher understanding that maybe that we're all imperfect. And once we start to understand, which is a false ego says, I'm perfect in what I'm doing, and they're right, I'm wrong, he's right. Dualities. But in higher terms, that there's no right or wrong. Actually, there's you could say the modes of material nature giving us what we desire, and Krishna fulfills all desires. So be careful what you desire. You might get it. You know. I never knew they were like this when people get married. I never knew it. But we should understand that any commitment that we make, that somehow we have to live with, because it's our desire that's brought it. And Krishna's giving us mercy. It's just another form of mercy. And it's not that we can reject it. Vows are meant to be kept. So very important that when you get initiated, that you make sure that whatever regulative principles of freedom that we follow, that we're given to do, that we must follow them as part of our nature before we take up and get initiation. It's not an emotional thing. It has to be firm in our character. So we have to build up our character of a devotee before we take initiation. Be careful, don't go too soon. Let Krishna do it as well. Let him take a hand. See what happens. Become natural devotee. Do your 16 rounds as though you never want to do without them. Get to that point. So here we have Parikshit, and he says it's particularly dear. The devotees are particularly dear. And Prabhupada, in the translation, if I can just get it up, he says, here, please narrate to us the unlimited, the narrations of the unlimited, for they are purifying and supreme. They were spoken by Maharaj Parikshit, and they are very dear to pure devotees. They're full of bhakti yoga. So that these narrations, they're good for everyone. They're our medicine. And it's a case of this bhakti yoga is reuniting the limited with the unlimited by devotional service. we're limited in our abilities, but we're reuniting ourselves with the unlimited by devotional service. So it's something to remember, that's our position. We're all servants of Krishna, but we have the same propensity. We like to serve just like Krishna likes to serve. That's our nature because we come from Krishna. So we're just fulfilling our nature, the character of the living force, they say, Chaitanya. Fulfill your character. Character of the living force is devotional service. That's our character. Okay, so I better stop here. If there's any questions on that particular part, because it's also the disappearance of Purushottam Das. But any comments, questions that you want to say? Yeah. So then, microphone.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Is the mic there? Yeah, it has to be through the mic. Yeah, otherwise the people online can't hear.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So you said that when we get an order from an authoritative figure, that's from Krishna.
Yeah.
And because obviously Krishna is in everyone, for example, even a child, that could be our teacher, right? So
Yes.
should we try to aim to see an authoritative figure in everyone, even a child, everyone? Or?
Yeah, Prabhupada had advice from even a drunk. So I think it was one day he brought in toilet paper to the place that they were giving, and so he was serving Prabhupada, and but he also he gave him an understanding that they aren't all Vedic and follow the ways of the thing. So he took that on, but also it was with I can't remember, but anyone, if it was even a drunken doctor again, that he was advising him, why don't you get exercise? And so he took that as his spiritual master speaking, that he should look after his health. And so he used to go have morning walks. It's much like you say, yes, you can learn from a child. As a previous parent, my children used to say to me, I asked them to do something, and they say, but you don't do it. They're quick to point the hypocrisy of of adults sometimes. It's like the example I give is that also it's a nice one, that if the parent doesn't say sorry to the child for about something, that actually they made a mistake, how can the child learn to say sorry itself? Because they're example, isn't it? So these are the things that in all our dealings, we must learn our humility doesn't make us, or a boss doesn't make us not humble. A humble person means, was spoken of, was this wonderful quality of listening. I think it was Sundar Madhava. The listening, that little step before you act is to listen. Because you think you know what they want, but let them say what they want. Let them say their needs. And you could say, like Shruti Dami says, he'd come to him, you used to come to him about something, and then he'd say, yes, is there anything else? Yes, is there anything else? He'd let them express everything that was there. And this is a wonderful thing about Shruti Dharma, of course. That was his strength. Yes, he wanted to listen. He was there for them, and so it's this listening that Sundar Madhava talked about. It was a very, very good point to step back, listen, and maybe we haven't got quite the point, so let them express it. You know, let us hear what they're thinking a bit more. Okay. Thank you for the question. Is there anybody else? Okay. Srinivas Prabhu? Oh, have you? Oh, good. Let's have it. This is a quote on morality, Srinivas says. Okay.
Do devotees practice worldly morality? This is a question asked to Bhaktisiddhanta. So he's answering. Actual devotees of Krishna never encourage immorality. The lotus feet of Sri Krishna, who is the personification of religion, are the complete resting place of all morality. The highest form of morality for a spirit soul is to become attached to the supersoul. The devotees of Krishna are the ultimate limit of this pure attachment. Being perfected and increased millions of times, the topmost morality preached by the great soul, Jesus Christ, is anxiously waiting to serve the morality of Lord God as cultivated by Vaishnavas. We do not confine our conceptions only to worldly morality. Our ambition is to attain the morality or transcendental love of God, which is the ultimate goal of everyone's life and which is beyond all forms of ordinary and extraordinary morality. When a pure soul is situated on the transcendental platform of love of God, worldly morality appears insignificant. At the same time, devotees are neither opposed nor attached to worldly morality. Rather, all forms of morality stand in attendance on the spiritual morality, just as maidservants become glorious by serving an exalted personality. An exalted devotee is always moral. People opposed to morality or who have fallen from standard can never be considered transcendentalists. Adultery, for example, can never be called devotional service.
No, okay. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? So what he's saying, that if we got this supreme morality, it includes all the pennies. It's the pound, but it includes all the pennies that are in the pound. Everything automatically. Same with Bhakti Yoga. Everything is there. Law-abidedness, obedience of authority, all these things, they're there in any sphere, in every sphere. So I think I'll just briefly mention about, if I may, and if you want to go to Prasadam, but I feel I should look at this Acharya's Day here. Oh. And if I can find it. Oh, yes. Yes. I'll just quote from Bhaktisiddhanta what he says about Purushottam Das Thakur. Okay. And there's also a couple of other quotes, but we'll see what we got time for. Okay. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, Purushottam Das Thakur lived in Sukar Agara, midway between the Chandaka and Samarali railway stations. The deities he installed were formerly served in the Baladanga village. But when the temple fell in the river, the deities were taken to Sukhagara, the temple, which was swallowed by the Ganges. Then the deities were moved again and again, and each time it seemed that where they were moved to, they were swallowed by the Ganges. But it says here that he was an intimate association of Lord Nityananda. This was his glory. He was if I can just find it. Yeah, he was I'm just trying to... Sadi Shiva Kaviraj. He had a son, Prayojana Das. He had no external consciousness of his body, for Nityananda was constantly acting through him. And he says here, Vrindavan Das Thakur, also named Prayojana Das, is one of Nityananda's chief associates. And they used to play together about and do pastimes of Krishna together, and so he was a very wonderful devotee, a respectable gentleman. And then he always engaged in childish play. And then it says here, his body was saturated with the nectar of Lord Krishna. And there's one little bit here, if I can just get to it. Oh yeah, no, he says here, he said, his son Prayojana Das Thakur had no concern for the external body. Lord Sri Nityananda was always resided within the core of his heart. That's from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Prayojana Das Thakur was in the line of Lord Nityananda, disciplic succession, and as a devotee of that disciplic succession. So he followed, and he was merged, it says, in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, in which he always engaged in childish play with Lord Krishna. So, Prayojana Das Thakur ki jai. So just a brief thing. So I think that's it now. So thank you for your kind patience. And it's a very interesting verse. There's a lot of depth to it, and it's very wonderful. So thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.